Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. I guess I didn't see you because I can't see you. I'm just looking into a camera. So I wanted to do another health video about some of the weirder ideas I got once I started following the protein paradigm. If you've seen the previous videos, you know I followed a paradigm where I was supposed to eat as much protein as I ate fat plus carbs. So a lot of emphasis on protein, and it's how I lost a bunch of weight and became less fat, and became the less fat man I am today. But I also wanted to explore some of the ideas that came out of this, and so these aren't really principles I followed to lose weight. This is more just discoveries I made by following the paradigm, and this is kind of loose. I know people who are way more precise about these things, but these are just interesting ideas to consider, and next time you're in the supermarket, maybe they'll make you just look with new suspicion at certain shelves and what have you. So the first thing I got suspicious of was bread, and bread seems like a very common kind of food. I used to have like egg sandwiches at work all the time, and I remember looking at the packaging and thinking, like, stats-wise, I wish the bread almost wasn't there. I was kind of just after the protein in the eggs, and I wish the bread wasn't there, and everything's covered in bread. And this is where I think, I mean, at least in the UK, I can talk to the culture here, there is a real kind of tradition of bread. You get bread and butter pudding and, you know, toad in the hole. Not all the time. Like, we're not like real stereotypes over here going, oh, here's some toad in the hole, darling. That's not what's happening. But like, there is a backcurrent there of just bread being normal. It's on the shelves, and I remember there being these bread adverts from Hovis. Obviously, they do bread, but there were these really successful adverts where Hovis had this lovely, like, sepia color palette, and I forget what the music was called, but it's pretty famous. And there's this kid's on his bike, and there's a cup of tea, and there's some nice wholesome bread, and it really felt, oh, bread, you know. And I think, unless you actively resist it, that's what goes into your brain, right? You just get filled with all this stuff about how completely normal it is to eat bread, and then you get friggin' Morpheus coming in and telling you, what if I told you eating bread doesn't really help? And I sometimes have, I'll show it, I sometimes have this low-carb bread. There we go. There we go, that's vaguely visible. I have low-carb bread with my breakfast now. I can get into my breakfast later in a different video, I think. But I'm so suspicious of bread. I figure it was something that's had its day. For a while there in medieval times or something, it enabled medieval peasants to stay on their feet and farm the land or whatever. But maybe its usefulness is at an end, and we've now just got hundreds of years of, oh, you've got to have bread, and I just find, like, the healthier someone is, they tend to eat less bread. I'm not saying bread's bad exactly, I'm just saying it's a bit kind of, you know, it's an opportunity cost, basically. You could be eating something better. And we just have expressions like, oh, it's the best thing since sliced bread, so that bread just sounds like this default wonderful thing. Go ahead, eat your bread, eat your sandwiches, eat your bread and butter pudding and your bread sandwiches and your breads. But it just seems like the more I followed a healthy diet paradigm, the less bread seemed to fit that. Beer. I don't drink a whole lot of beer. I know it's been said that beer is kind of liquid bread, so this is kind of a spin-off of the bread rant. I don't know, I just figure, like, if you watch people who drank a bunch of beer for years and years, they tend to fatten up, and the people who are healthy are like, oh, well, you know, I drink once in a while. Well, I barely drink, you know, I can still drink. I went to university, for crying out loud. But, yeah, beer, likewise, I'm kind of suspicious of. Like I say, these are just really loose theories. These are not exactly based on chemistry or anything. They're just based on kind of looking around and just little signposts, okay? That's what I have here today, just little hints. Yeah, so the next thing is snacks. And maybe fruit is okay as a snack. It's something I've heard, but, like, now that I'm on the diet I'm on, now I have, like, the breakfast and normally some kind of meat for dinner or something. I don't really feel the need to snack, and my suspicion is that what you're really looking for is protein. As I mentioned, I'm kind of obsessed with protein, and this idea that like it's normal at like 11 a.m. or mid-afternoon, be like, oh, I'm hungry, I want to have a snack, and it's what's in these snacks. Again, they get very bready. You get kind of, well, crisps again, or they're even selling healthy crisps, aren't they? And I should imagine they're slightly healthier than regular crisps, but it's still pretty much a lighter kind of poison. And they sell these things, they got TV adverts of like receptionists sort of getting these quote-unquote healthy snacks to snack on at their desk. So you've got people who are sitting around, my suspicion is just not getting enough protein, and their body is kind of saying, feed me in case there's some protein in these crisps, and there isn't. And they just end up eating these seemingly healthy snacks, and you can tell yourself, oh, well, this is healthy, these are healthy snacks, this is okay. And I just have this suspicion that snacking is something you will want to do less if you eat as much protein as I do, certainly. It's just one of the things that dropped out. Like I say, loose theories, but they're just kind of outcomes of me following the protein-based diet. Another thing I found I've weaned off are just soft drinks, Pepsi and stuff. And again, that's heavily based on advertising, isn't it? Like, you watch Coca-Cola adverts, they make it seem like all the cool young people are drinking Diet Coke and having a great time. And just the thing to cap off your wonderful experiences is a Diet Coke and everything. And sometimes I order one in a restaurant, but I think I had a, was it even a Diet Coke? I had a Pepsi or something, and like, it tasted like cola bottles to me, because I really like cola bottle sweets. And when I drank this Coke after just maybe years of not really drinking a lot of Coke, it felt so much thicker and sugarier, and I'm not sure what happened, but I'm going to make a separate video about your taste changing over time. But I'm just really suspicious about this. Obviously, soft drinks taste great to kids. They're full of sugar. I do wonder about our diet being kind of childish these days as well. But they taste good, and they kind of get you hooked on them when you're young, and then you just think, oh, it's perfectly normal to get a Coke with my meal, and there's something in the back of your mind talking about sugar and carbs and what have you, but it's just, so almost like beer, I'm kind of suspicious of just Coke and sugary drinks and fizzy drinks in general. That is also something I don't really crave anymore, and when I do have it, it's like, holy crap, this is actually kind of powerful. Like, this tastes sort of thick. It tastes like drinking cola bottle sweets now. Actually, since that's the next thing in my notes here, I'll go over just a memory I have about Fruit Loops, because I remember somehow I remember being 5 or 4 or something. I think we were going to go on a skiing holiday. And I just remember eating Fruit Loops, and wow, those things were amazing. Like, they were brightly coloured, they were probably full of sugar, they looked amazing, they tasted amazing, and there you go. And in a way, you're kind of chasing that high of those friggin' Fruit Loops. And they sound healthy, don't they? Because they're called Fruit Loops. So they must be okay. But you never quite get that high back, and now I suspect I wouldn't even enjoy. No, I think I actually bought Fruit Loops quite a few years ago, and they weren't really the same, and I just wonder about how our tastes are adapted when we're kids by all this sugar, I know in the US they have sugar barons and like specific sugar problems. They're not allowed to say what sugar is in things because there's a ton of sugar in things. But just how you get trained when you're a kid, I think, can easily carry over, and then it's a bit like my fruit gums moment before. Whatever, I'll take a sip. Finally, random note, I did find that buying more protein-rich stuff does make your food a bit more expensive. Take it as a chance to either cut down on unnecessary expenses or get richer or whatever, I guess. But yeah, buying the protein-rich stuff, you probably will look at it and think, oh man, this is a bit less cheap than what I was getting before, because I'll get into this in a separate video, I think, but the convenient foods tend to be worse for you. Well, they tend to just have less protein. So stuff like steaks or chicken or prawns or the yogurt I have, or maybe even eggs, it all just feels kind of more expensive, and then it's worth it, just trust me. But just be prepared for a bit of a hit in the pocketbook, maybe, if you're nosing about how much your groceries cost. But anyway, well, that's enough for today. I think I'll hit you guys with another health video next week or something. And send any suggestions in the comments. Like, these are not prescriptions or anything. These are just loose theories that kind of came out of me losing weight from this protein paradigm. That's all it is. That's all it is. Anyway, click, 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 booyah.